Hi, everyone. Welcome to the demo day for Stealth Mode 4.0. It's super exciting that you're joining us online. We're very sad that you couldn't be with us in person. If you could please drop us a message in the YouTube chat, tell us who you are, tell us where you're joining from. We're really grateful to have you with us, and we're also very grateful to have everyone filming with us on site at Factory Gorlitzer Park. Before we get things started, I would just like to briefly introduce myself and tell you a little bit about Stealth Mode. My name is Charlotte. I am the Senior Program Manager for Factory Berlin. I'm also the Program Lead for Stealth Mode. And before we kick things off, we wanted to talk a little bit about Stealth Mode and why we started it. So in our invitations, we tried to remind everyone of this very sad statistic, which was published 2 years ago, telling us that only 15.7% of founders in Germany are women. And of course, that's not enough, that's not reasonable, that's not acceptable in any way, and that's something that really needs to be changed if we're going to have an equitable society. When you look at research, and when we looked at this problem, we noticed that the problem is network. And at Factory Berlin, our vision is to give every creator an empowering network, so we put together the best of our network to support in solving this problem. So we put together our network to give investors, to give access to investors to our founders, to give them access to established industry, and to give them access to peers, to other women founders, so that they don't feel so alone. So this is our vision with Stealth Mode. We're building the most diverse, empowering, high-quality network for women entrepreneurs in Germany. Our Stealth Mode program gives them mentorship, it gives them investor access, accountability sessions to connect them to each other, and the demo day like this to give them a public stage to pitch their idea. We couldn't do this without the amazing people who are part of this program, our incredible investor advisory board, some of which you'll see here tonight, our incredible mentors who deliver one-to-one feedback to these founders throughout the 3 months so that they can improve their startups. And finally, our experts deliver workshops on particularly relevant topics that are really necessary for them to excel as founders and to accelerate their startups. So thank you all so much, and especially thank you to our partners, Google for Startups and Henkel DX. So please check out these QR codes to learn more about Factory Berlin and about Stealth Mode. You can check us out on LinkedIn, and you can check us out online at our website. And that's just a little bit about us. So to go back to the problem, we wanted to dig a little deeper into why there are so few women founders and how, more specifically, we can close the gender gap in funding. So we have our expert panel joining us today. Our panel, yes, exactly. Our panel is moderated by Miriam Partington, who is the German correspondent for Sifted. And we also have Geza, who is the general partner for OXO Female Catalyst Fund, and Hydron, who is a founder, angel, executive, and the host of Equalizer podcast. So with no further ado, would you all please come to the stage?
Thank you very much, Charlotte, for the intro, and hello, everyone. As you all probably know, the funding situation for female founders at the moment is pretty bleak. According to Atomico's latest State of European Tech report, female founders this year raised just 1.1% of total capital. That's the lowest percentage since 2017. There are a few reasons for this, and one of these reasons is because there's a lack of women leading funds in Europe. Currently, 12% of general partners and managing directors of European VC firms are female. So these awful statistics are the reason why we're here today. We wanted to put together a panel to kind of probe further into this topic and discuss, why is it that female founders aren't getting any funding, and also discuss what we can do about it. So I'm just going to open the floor to my wonderful panel here. And the first question that I would like to know is, why is it important to fund female founders in Europe?
Well, basically, I would say the main reason is that there is a lot of value add that is being left out nowadays, and that could be generated because these people who could be founding companies are not founding companies. That's generally, I would say, the main point. But there's other points as well. I would say one of them being if you want to have incremental innovations, then you need diversity to be able to make these incremental innovations. And one aspect of diversity is definitely gender, amongst many others. A third point being that many products and services, or most products and services, actually target men, and it would just be good if more women would found companies so that they would also target women with their products and services. And to add to that, definitely role models are really important. We need those young girls in schools to see founding a company as something achievable and something that they want to do. And basically, if we don't have enough female founders, then how are we going to get more to come? I guess those are the reasons that I would say. There's probably more, but those, in my opinion, are the ones that are in focus.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't think entrepreneurship was on the curriculum when I was at school, so that's definitely something I think that could improve in the future. But Heidrun, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I don't know whether any of you know that only since 1955 in Germany women are allowed to manage their own wealth. So before that it was always their men, even if they inherited the money, their husbands were entitled to manage the wealth, so the women couldn't decide on for themselves. So this is, I think, one of the reasons why, at least in Germany, and I think it's similar in other countries, there are so few female investors. And since '78, they are allowed to decide on them for themselves whether they want to work or not, without consent of the husbands. So yeah. 1978. I think this is a figure which is really interesting. And one thing I would like to...
I was born in 1980.
Wow. So you're much younger than me. I was born before '78, so I won't tell the year. But another reason why I think it's important to fund women is they tend to found more purpose-driven startups. So for men, and different research shows that from especially Deutscher Startup Monitor, I think, shows that men tend to put more emphasis on earning money, while women put more emphasis on purpose. So this is another reason why it's important to fund women.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that is often quite frequently said is that, the lack of female-founded startups is, more to do with a pipeline issue. But is this really the case, or is there actually, discrimination and bias on the side of the investors happening?
I think it has several reasons. One of them being bias by men. So, for example, women get posed different questions than female founders get posed different questions than male founders. So, what I heard a lot while writing the book and doing the podcast, there are lots of female founders get asked the questions whether they know what they are doing. So, do you really know about tech? Is it so? So this is something, if you want to found a startup, then it's really difficult to get through lots of talks like that. So I think you might lose some of your drive during doing that. And on the other hand, I think many of female founders who founded something that just concerns women, get asked the question whether that is not a minority problem, so by the male investors. So, and I think even if many male investors, they don't mean to be harmful in that kind of discussion, but lots of them just don't see many of the problems that women face, so health-wise or in other areas of their lives, which need to be tackled by startups. So they just don't really care, or let's say, until recently, haven't cared so much about that.
May I add to that?
Absolutely.
Because for me, it's both sides. So it's not an either or, as you pose the question. I would say it's both. Number one, obviously the pipeline problem, and we just spoke about the problem of having young girls not being confronted with coding, for example, with entrepreneurship and so on. That's definitely one of the problems, and we actually have 18% female founders right now in Germany. We should try to get closer to 50%, I would say. But on the other hand, as Heidrun already said, it is a problem also with the funding. And I like looking at the numbers. And the main number that I find really interesting is to say, okay, we have 18% female founders, but we only have 3% partners or general partners in Germany in funds. So and it's around 2% that VC funding in Germany goes to female founders. So that's definitely, and you see it in the numbers, one of the issues. And everyone has a similarity bias. As Heidrun already said, it's not something that is meant to be bad, and men don't say, oh, I specifically do want to only invest into men. And I can also tell from our investments, we did 14 angel investments, 70% actually do have a female founder, so we also have a similarity bias, and we didn't specifically want to invest into women, but it just happened. And that's what's happening in the industry, basically. And so we need to get more GPs out there also.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that leads in very nicely to my next question, which just is, it's often said that there needs to be more female investors to actually close this gender funding gap. But is that just simply pushing the problem back onto women?
I think it is on the one hand side. So I think we need to educate males as well, or male investors, or they need to educate themselves. And I think a lot of stuff is going on. Like, for example, your fund. Nice anecdote on the side. I'm reading Handelsblatt Morning Briefing, like probably most of you do. And on the day you launched AUXO Female Catalyst Fund, which was in Handelsblatt, I scrolled through the morning briefing, and there was, I don't know exactly recall which guys, but there was, I think, one of the board members of Deutsche Bank, male. Then text about him, so picture of him. Then 3 male politicians, text about them. Then picture of the Munich soccer team, 9 males, text about them. Then there was text about KKR, 2 founders, both male. And I think then came like 2 women from Handelsblatt who did, like, I don't know, a podcast or so. And then there was one picture where a woman was depicted with her father. And that was on the day, and I didn't mean harm, so I just scrolled through this newsletter and said, okay, is that possible in 2021 to have Handelsblatt Morning Briefing with 19 people altogether, of them 3 women? And on the same day, you published something groundbreaking in Handelsblatt, and I wrote them an email, and they didn't even respond. So I think as long as it's like that, and the editor of this publication doesn't see what's wrong with that. So if I just scrolled through and saw all the male pictures, and I said, okay, how can it be now in this century?
Yeah, absolutely. I think representation is incredibly important, right? I mean, Geza, do you have anything to add to this?
I would say, to answer your question, the system needs to be changed, and the question is, how do we change it? It's not a problem that we women made, so pushing back to the women is just not the right way of approaching it. I would say the other way around. So the system needs to change, and one way of changing it is helping women get more access to networks, helping them get more access to capital, and go for it. And I guess what we see is also, if you see, there was a study which showed that when the funds actually have women in their investment teams, but none at partner level, that they also tend to invest less into female founders. Mm-hmm. So what we do need is a lot of general partners and partner level women. And since obviously these women don't have the experience because they've not been able to in the past, which is the same as what the men need. And what I mean with experience is the investment experience. I mean, having founded startups and so on. So what I'm saying is maybe as an example, how you could be able to change the structure is just to take a leap of faith. And there are examples out there. I can just one of my main examples is Judith Dada from La Familia. She was not an investor before. She came into this investment business, became a partner there, and La Familia took a leap of faith, basically, saying and she's a great investor. She has a great track record, and that's what I think what the whole industry should do, bring more women into those senior positions.
Yeah, I think along the same lines, and it's important, I think, for both like female investors and female founders to use the structures that are in the market. So, for example, if you have a mixed team, send the guys to pitch and send the girls to the stage. So you will make the best of both realities. So if you're a female founder on the stage, you get more. Now the English word is missing. You get more visibility than your male partners, and on the other hand, your male partners in general, if pitching to male investors, will get more money from them. On the one hand side, so go with the flow, and on the other hand, work against it or work for a new world in order to change something for the next generations to come. And try to convince or try to not convince but win over the guys, because I think most of them don't really mean harm, as I said. So for example, when we launched the podcast in Hamburg, it was on a female startup aperitivo. So it was a big crowd in a cool location. There were like 400 or 300 people, most of them women. And we, as always, the people who organize it asked me whether some female investor could be on the stage from Hamburg, and we, as always, we didn't find one. So I'm not a real big investor, so I'm a small business angel, and I had already several other roles there, so I didn't want to do it. So we found a male business angel again, and then he was on the stage, and he was he was giving really good advice on how female founders could get more investment and so on. And then, like after 5 minutes, when he talked about like we need to be more bold and female founders need to ask for more money and so on, I said, okay, you want bold? And I went to the stage and said, okay, Dirk, you want bold. So when will you guys learn to understand how women are communicating? So they are telling basically the same message as guys, but probably a little bit more conservative. So why not take 100% of what the guys, or 50% of what the guys tell you, and put 100% on top of what the girls tell you? So in the end, for both sides, it's important to have the right valuation. So it doesn't help if you, I don't know, negotiate like 10% up or down. In the end, it's a game that two people play together or two sides play together. And he was really like, oh yeah, you are right. So we had a little discussion after that off stage. On the next day, he sent me a pitch deck and said, okay, do you want to co-invest? So this is, I think, the way to go, to really convince men, because they often don't see the problem. And if they read it in the newspapers and then, I don't know, in a way that they feel bad about it, then this won't convince them. But if you try it in a female way, like sympathetic and nice, I think that will change a lot.
So since we're already talking about solutions here, how can female founders actually strengthen their bid for funding? And perhaps you could speak about some examples of female founders you know or have seen, Geza, that have actually successfully won funding.
Yeah, many. But maybe, first of all, I would encourage founders also to be part of the solution and to really look for diversity in their cap tables. So basically, if I were a founder, what I would do, I would start by checking all the investors and seeing, do they have diverse investment teams? Do they invest into diverse teams? Do they have mechanisms in place to offset similarity bias, et cetera, et cetera? And then go fundraise towards them. But obviously, there's many great investors out there who maybe are not diverse at all, so they don't have any diverse, and you still want to pitch towards them, right? So what do you do? That's your question, basically. I would say you have to, if those are the ones that you want, so I would question that first of all, but if those are the ones that you want, then you have to change your pitch accordingly. So what do they want to hear from you? They want to hear from you big ideas, big visions. They do ask different questions to female founders than male founders. So it's more risk questions versus potential questions. So if you are asked a risk question, then try to change it, and at the end, stop with a potential. Like end the answer with a potential. For example, think big. Do not think conservatively. Those are like the tips I would go, and try to use your network. So this is a trust game. The whole venture capital game is a trust game. And how are these people going to trust in you? Basically, obviously, the experience that you've had in the past is one of the main components. Another main component is probably who else believes in you. So if you have a great advisory board, that's great. And then you have to show them why will you be the person that will be able to pull this off. So you have to show with everything that you show in your presentation, you have to show them that you're the person that's going to be able to win them over and be able to build this huge company and be thriving at the end.
If I may add, one of the most important competencies there is sales. So I think we talked about this already, some of you and I, is ask for the money as well if you're pitching, and I hope everyone will do today. What I see very much with female founders is they pitch a great idea, and then in the end they say, okay, perhaps we need some money. This won't do the trick. So as Gisa said, really be bold. We can give this advice because we are women as well. So I would hate to hear it from men, but it's like that. If you want to be heard by them, you need to speak their language, and they need to develop the skills to understand yours.
Yeah, I was fundraising myself for these past 9 months, so I really know where you guys are at, and that's what we basically did. So we did pitch, and we were super resilient. So even if you get no's, then you can come back. You can say 3 months later, look, this traction is a lot better than before, and it's totally possible.
And one other thing, don't go into the negotiation with the expected outcome, but open the window wide into the direction you want it to be. Instead of, this is most women do that. They go into the negotiation with what they think is sensible, which is wrong because guys will always go in lower or higher depending on what they want.
So you wanted examples also of successful fundraising, female founders who were successful in fundraising. Well, today in the news, just to show something that we didn't do, passion fruit, for example, from Jennifer Pan, got announced. Crandom did I think 3 million euros round. I'm just guessing. 3.5, thank you, Georgie. So that's just one example, and there's many others. There's also a team, I forgot the name, it's also a very short name, that got finance also here in Berlin from Index, and Creandum also published today or yesterday. So there are many female in our portfolio. Lara from Here Foods just successfully raised her round. I guess there's many strategies to raising, and there's not like one size fits all. And it depends on your background. So if you don't have a background that is really picture perfect for the typical investor, then it's going to be a little bit harder anyway, because those picture perfect backgrounds are probably the ones that I just mentioned. And if not, you just have to be resilient, I guess.
If I look at the women I know who have successfully raised, there's one that you have invested in, Hannah Asmussen from Localize. And if I think about her, I met her very early on in her journey. Unfortunately, I didn't invest. Not because I didn't trust her, because I just wasn't, I didn't have the money at the time, because I was invested already. So, but she is someone who I think is one of the best networkers I know, and one of the best listeners to advice. So this would be an advice from me as well. So if you talk to people like Geza or other people who might know something that you need to know, then listen to the advice and don't discuss. So because what is the most annoying stuff is if you really know things that startups don't know, and then they'd say, yeah, but we would like to do it this way or that, not the way you are suggesting. You can think that, but don't tell it, because the next time you meet this person, they will never tell you anything valuable again. And Hannah was very great, and just listening to everything, being in contact with everyone, and just building her network. She basically, in that year, I met her at every event I went to. So she was everywhere, and she was always talking to all the people. And another great founder, I think, is Anne Lamp from Traceless. It's a Hamburg startup, and she did something which was great as well. So they got approached by investors, I think, before they were even looking for money, which is the best thing that can happen to you if they come to you. So you don't need to run after them. And this can be done also by being present in the important places, spaces, to do your communication stuff, to talk to the right people, let the right people know what you are doing.
Thank you very much, both. I think it's nice to kind of end this on a bit more of a positive note, right? But just quick fire question, because I think we have to wrap up here. But are we any closer to closing the gender funding gap?
Well, the numbers say no, but
forget the numbers.
No, but seriously, my gut feeling says yes. And it's strange because I see those numbers, but on the other hand, I see that there's like a movement, and this movement is, I would say, really positive, and that's why things are changing and people are coming under pressure, and the state is under pressure to do something, and the LPs are getting under pressure to actually also ask for more diversity in the fund, and so on. So I think, give it a little bit of time, and then it will go back up.
I agree, because this number was atomical on Europe, and I think in Germany it's a little bit different. Haven't we? Not a lot. No, not a lot, but not
much, unfortunately.
I get these numbers mixed up, but wasn't it 2.8 in the last report, and before it was 2.4? So yeah, we are much. So Europe declined, Germany got up, and lots of funds. No, not lots, but in my LinkedIn feed, it's all about female founders, female funds, and so on. So this hasn't been the case 1 year ago, and I think we are on a very good trip. And when I see what people are willing to pay to be sponsored on our podcast, then the guys really have a problem, and they have a pain, and they try to change it.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Can go on. Thank you so much. Well, that was a really insightful conversation, and we also couldn't be more lucky to have these people not only as advocates for solving this problem that are so actively engaged, but also part of this program. So thank you so much for being with us tonight, and thank you for your support. We're going to get started with the pitches very shortly, but first we actually wanted to take a moment to catch up with our alumni. So we have a short video update on what they're up to. Thank you.
Exchanging experiences and ideas with the girls from the batch, or with the women from the batch.
Great.
And having this feeling of that there are other women going through the same experience, having the same problems, having the same ups and downs that are so typical for founding a startup.
When I started the program, Sage Fund was just an idea, and through the program and all the feedback that I received from the other mentors and founders, and it was really positive, that it made it so much more real to me. And I really felt like building Sage Fund, and I felt so much support. Here in the factory, we also did our first events, and even our first clients are from here.
I was able to develop great friendships over the course of the program, and I'm still in contact with them, and so it's great to have peers that you can share the progress with.
I also met what I would consider my family. The girls in Stealth Mode are still my friends. They still take my calls. We still meet up, run into each other, and give each other advice. The program has really given me a sense of community.
When it comes to Stealth Mode, I see it as a sisterhood.
So for us, fundraising was always a big topic, and with Stealth Mode, we were able to revise our pitch deck with our mentor, and we were also able to hone our pitching skills. So Stealth Mode really helped us to get a foot in the door.
Our first very big success was landing a deal with 2 prestigious banking partners, and this enabled us to launch our first investment products, which were a big success. We had 500,000 invested in them already, and now we started partnerships with Germany's biggest finance influencers, which I'm personally very excited about.
I was part of Stealth Mode 3.0, so it's been about 5 months since we finished. A lot has happened. First of all, last month, we closed our pre-seed funding round.
Woohoo! So in the last year, a lot of things happened. So of course we pivoted a lot, but now we found a product that's really highly engaging with the users, but also will revolutionize the mental health market in Germany. And this was all possible because after Stealth Mode, we just got the code stipend that supported us during our very early stage, and got my mentor, Georgie, from Stealth Mode as an advisor. Afterwards, we closed our first angel deal with some amazing angels that really helped us to grow as a team.
So when I originally started with the Stealth Mode program, I was purely consulting, right? Which we all know is not sustainable. But since Stealth Mode, I have figured out a new, more sustainable business model. I have gotten funding from the government with the Berlin Startup Stipendium, and I've secured 3 new clients. So it's been a good time, I guess.
I highly recommend Stealth Mode because on the one hand, we got so much support from our mentors, and on the other hand, the network was very valuable for us too.
Well, very exciting stuff indeed. Yeah. And it's time for our pitches. So before we get started, I'd just like to quickly introduce our jury. We have Hydron rejoining us, not only for the panel discussion, but for the jury. Thank you so much. Amazing. We have Georgie Smallwood, who's the CPO of Tier Mobility and the founder of Auxilia Global. Thank you for being here. And we have Alina Bassi, who is the co-founder and CEO of Clyderly and the managing director and co-founder of Founderland. Thank you all for being here. Super exciting. So the way the pitches will work today is that each of our founders will have 5 minutes to pitch their startup, and then they'll have 5 minutes to answer questions from the jury. The jury can take notes as the pitches are happening, and they'll get a chance to ask all of their burning questions. Unfortunately, there isn't the chance to ask questions, but you can still drop your comments and cheer on your favorite founders in the YouTube chat. So with no further ado, I'd like to invite our very first founder on stage. We have Samantha, who is pitching GoLexic. Come on, Sib. There you go.
Thank you. Yep. So I'm sure all of you here either know somebody in your family, maybe in your circle of friends, who either struggles heavily with reading or maybe struggles with dyslexia. And so for our German attendees, this would be Legasthenie und Leserechtschreibschwierigkeiten. These are actually so common that they affect about 1 in 5 people. In my family, my brother is the 1 in 5, and what I know from his journey and from the journey of many of the children that we work with now is that struggling to read is something that's very difficult for children. It makes their entire education more difficult. It makes their career choice more difficult. A lot of these children suffer from low self-esteem because they're very aware of their difficulty. And then governments are spending billions every year on trying to rectify the problem. But even so, today, most children actually don't receive the help that they need early enough to have a sustainable impact on their skills. Usually they're diagnosed way too late. Without a diagnosis, there's only the teacher to help, but teachers are not trained for this. They don't have the time or the resources to be able to help these children adequately. And then outside of school, the only help available for parents is very expensive. And in many countries, like in Germany actually, it's usually not reimbursed. And that's something that really struck me a couple of years ago, is that all of the solutions that are created today, they're never created for parents. And so parents are always dependent on some external help being available, accessible, or affordable. And that's what I wanted to change. So the idea behind GoLexic was to create a tool that is so easy to use that we could put it into the hands of anyone and they'd be able to help their child improve reading and spelling. And how we did it is that we used a teaching approach that is created specifically for the needs of these children. We combine it with speech recognition so that we can continuously assess how they're reading and where they're struggling, and then we use that to personalize their learning journey. That means that we are removing the need for an adult to be constantly present and listening and assessing to how they're doing things. And so where other startups, or other companies, I should say, are showing children how reading should be done, we are actually able to listen, assess, and then determine what they should be working on more and personalize the program for them. And that takes out, that removes a lot of this need for supervision. And actually, most of the children using our app are using it by themselves. So we operate in the reading disability treatment market. It's a market that's usually very analog, driven by therapy and medication. But the portion of the market that's actually booming right now is the market for digital solution. That's growing about 20% annually over the next 5 years, whereas the rest of the market is growing much closer to 5-6%. And what we've created so far is an app that is first and foremost for parents. We have a subscription of $9.99 a month, and we want that to be covered by healthcare systems in the future. But with our MVP this year, we saw we had quite a lot of interest from schools. A lot of teachers were trying to find a way to test the app as well. So for us, the next step is to create a teacher platform on top of the app so that it can be used in schools. So we've launched the MVP in the UK earlier this year, and we've been growing about 25% month over month since July. At the moment, we have almost 300 paying customers. About half of that are weekly active users. We have a 3-month retention rate of 36%, and we did a lot of work on our marketing in the last few months, and we actually managed to bring our cost per acquisition lower than our average revenue per user. And we also get really good feedback from the parents that have been using the app for a couple of weeks. This is actually from Lily, who's 8, and she was telling us how the app is helping her with her words and with her reading at school. That's how she explains it. But that's something that we hear actually from a lot of parents. They tell us that their children are telling them that they feel that the app is helping. So what we have today is an app where we validated users' willingness to pay, our pricing strategy, our marketing funnel, and our educational approach. And from here, what we want to do is build a gamification system to really keep the children engaged with the app for a longer period. Once we have that, we want to start piloting the app with schools, and then later next year, we want to introduce a freemium model. So for the team, you already know me. I'm Samantha, and I'm the founder and also the CEO of GoLexic. The rest of the team is very focused on engineering at the moment, and then we work closely with our advisors on topics around engineering, product strategy, but also very importantly, obviously, around linguistics, dyslexia, and the entire pedagogical approach for the app. And then we're lucky to be supported by a number of Berlin, German, and EU institutions. So that's all from me. We're not actively fundraising at the moment, but we will be next year in the summer. So if we have any impact investors watching interested in education, feel free to contact me, and I'd love to tell you what we've been working on.
Yeah, thank you, Samantha. Yes, Samantha, amazing. Thanks for kicking us off. So are there any questions from the jury about GoLexic? Who would like to start? Georgie's ready, as always.
Thanks. So that was a really great pitch. So first, congratulations. One of my early questions was, how much does government spend on dyslexia? And you mentioned that they were spending quite a lot of money. Do you know what areas they're spending in?
There's a number of things. So there's the educational program, so at school. So in the UK, for instance, you have, I speak about the UK because it's our first market, you have a dedicated amount for each children that have special educational needs, and that's usually between 7,500 to 30,000 per student, for instance. And then there's also all kind of systems that are put in place for when people leave school. So anything around making it easier for them to find jobs, or sometimes if they can't find jobs, like part of that is considered to be also social support. So there's quite a lot of different, this goes into very different directions.
It seems to be quite manual support, right? So one-to-one systems, like buddies, partners, things like that for the children rather than technology?
Yes. So usually in school there would be one person that's dedicated to helping the child, only if they have a diagnosis. If they don't have it yet, then it's only the teacher, and there's no budget. So,
okay. Sweet spot.
Yeah.
Nice.
Alina, yes?
Thank you so much. Your pitch was fantastic, and I think the problem you're solving is definitely something that we need to solve. My question was, how do you target your target market? So how do you, the paying customers that you have, that number's really impressive, but how did you get them, and how do you plan to scale that?
So we do quite a lot with our website. We do digital advertising, and we have different systems to try and retarget our website visitors, and do different kinds of targeting on Facebook. So essentially what we have is two target audiences. One is parents who know their children have dyslexia, and then we identify that parents who suspect but don't know yet that their child has dyslexia is also a huge group for us. So the parents who know usually will Google it, so we try to reach them through either organic search or through search advertising. And then the parents who don't know it yet don't Google it, and then we get them more through things like Facebook advertising, where we try to more give them content about dyslexia and then progressively bring them to our website, and that's what drives conversions.
Heidrun?
Yeah, thanks for the great pitch as well.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask about gamification, but then you answered the question yourself. Great. Nevertheless, I don't know whether I missed it, but the market you cited at 1.3 billion, what area, what region was it? Was it the world market, or was it UK?
On the target market slide, it was global.
It was global,
yeah.
1.3 billion.
So it's a very small market today. It's about 400 million. It's really emerging. That's also in a way why it's growing so fast. So it's following a similar trend that we would see in digital therapeutics and educational apps as well. But reading disability treatment as a niche is much more, let's say, fits much more what we're doing.
Yeah, I would think that it's much bigger in like 2 or 3 years' time than 1.3 billion, which would be important if you are looking for venture capital later on. And the other question is, are you a single founder? Because there were 3 people, but you the only founder.
Yeah.
Do the others have shares, or?
We have shareholders, but not among the engineers. So I'm the only founder of the company.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Samantha.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. You can come this way. Perfect. It's always scary to start us off, so amazing start to the night. Next up, we have Nadeya, who's pitching for Zaya. Nadeya, please come to the stage.
Hello, my name is Nadeya Hassan, co-founder and CEO of Zaya. And this, I don't think the clicker's working.
One of the exciting things about doing that is you get to do a little bit of on-stage troubleshooting. Let's see. I think the clicker is not in the use. Is it not? Okay, that's on the computer. Okay, easy. Yes.
Oh yeah. Perfect.
It goes. Where does it go?
Does it go in here?
This is also going to be an exciting moment for me to demonstrate that I am, in fact, the least technical person involved. Is it this? This is flashbacks for the accountability sessions when I'm...
All right, should we try it now?
Yes.
Okay, let me start over. All right, hello, my name is Nadeya Hassan, co-founder and CEO of Zaya, and this was my deathbed. 7 days, 4 ayahuasca ceremonies, and 3,000 miles away from home, deep in the Peruvian Amazon jungle, was where I traveled to heal after losing my father from cancer. And on this bed, I had a psychedelic healing experience where I felt feelings of bliss, mindfulness, full self-awareness, death, and rebirth, all on this bed. And despite the very therapeutic and visually stimulating experience that I had, psychedelics were illegal, making this therapeutic process unsustainable for me to continue once I came home. And although traditional talk therapy was relatively beneficial, it was expensive, inaccessible, and often led to long wait times. What I needed was a holistic and mindful approach that was also affordable to support my mental health, that also provided me the same benefits that I could receive in a psychedelic experience. And once I began to do my research, I realized that I wasn't the only one looking for this. As of this year, there have been over 1 million monthly Google searches for the term meditation and mindfulness, with a 900% increase year over year in Google searches for the term psychedelic experiences. In addition, there's been a $6.9 billion projected market growth for the psychedelics industry. As we speak, people are searching for alternative approaches for their mental health care that go beyond your average meditation and mindfulness app. And this is where Zaya comes in. Zaya is not your average meditation and mindfulness app. We combine the power of virtual and extended reality, digital art, and mindfulness practices to induce semi-psychedelic states for your mental health. Our science-backed approach guides users through a meditation and mindfulness session that is therapeutic, and in addition, it allows people to immerse themselves in a completely virtual world. And through our meditation and mindfulness sessions, users are able to be guided through a session with meditation and breath work that allows them to enter into a semi-psychedelic state that not only calms an overactive mind, but entrains the brain into an altered state of consciousness similar to one found in a psychedelic state. In addition, we use mood tracking and AI text analysis to be able to identify the structural gaps between a person's thoughts, emotions, and experiences to help them develop full self-awareness and emotional intelligence. And last year, we kicked this off by starting our virtual event series, where we had 28 events with different healthcare experts around the world speaking on topics around neuroscience, psychedelic medicine, and mind-body medicine. We had over 7,600 attendees join us from all around the world and have a current community of over 5,000 subscribers on our mailing list without any paid marketing. And as you can see, this is our global community. We have people from all around the world. So we want to ensure that we're able to provide them access to holistic and affordable mental health care. And one of the ways that we're doing this is through our monthly subscription model by offering an affordable price. In addition, we have 2 revenue streams, one being commissions, which are made off of the private booking sessions, as well as taking the art that's generated during the session and using them to mint non-fungible tokens, also known as NFTs. And even though we are unique, we still have a few more competitors within the market, except some of our features and the experiences that we offer is what really differentiates us, in addition to the skills behind our team. With myself, I have over 8 years experience in finance and business development, and have also consulted for ecotourism, wellness, as well as PR firms within the blockchain and digital gaming industry. And my co-founder, Ola, has worked on the new market's growth for SoundCloud, as well as several other tech startups within the Ethereum cryptocurrency space. Our goal for 2022 is to raise our first pre-seed round, which will enable us to begin research and development into ensuring that our app is research and science-backed, with the goal to launch our platform towards the end of 2022. So if you're ready to feel feelings of mindfulness, bliss, death, rebirth, and full self-awareness like I did, then join us on our journey and say goodbye to meditation and mindfulness apps and say hello to Zaya. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nadeya. So, any questions from the jury? Are we feeling feelings?
I had a question. Oh, first of all, thank you so much. Great pitch. You really caught my attention straight away. I was a bit confused because you said that you've started off already with events, but you're going to launch your platform next year. So what's the platform and how does that differ from what you've done so far?
Yeah, so what we've done so far was just educating people on the topic and really just testing the actual idea and the concept and if people are actually interested in this. And once we got that validation, we were ready to start building the platform. But in order to really be able to do this the right way, like I said, I really want this to be science-backed. We want to make sure that we run a pilot study first and then develop the actual app itself.
So in those events, were you testing content? So was it taking them through an experience which you would in future be able to access on the platform?
Yes, some of the events did. We had, for example, we had one speaker who is the founder of Neurodynamic Breathwork, and he guided the users who came. We had over 1,000 people come to that event where they actually went through a full 2-hour breathwork session. Sorry, not a 2-hour breathwork session, just a sample of what a 2-hour breathwork session would be, and we got a lot of feedback off of that. So we did some of that in some of the events.
So my question then is, did you have any reoccurrence in the events? So do you know how many people experienced one event and then came back to the next event? Because that'll be the biggest determiner for your SaaS model.
Yeah, honestly, I have emails that come from our community members that have just been like, I've been coming to the events and I'm just so grateful for everything that you're doing. And so a lot of people are coming. I also was paying attention to the sign-up list and seeing what names are reoccurring and who's coming back to
that would be something, if you're going to raise pre-seed in Q1 and you're going to do it before you have a platform prototype, use your events as a data point for your reoccurrence and your retention of your consumers through the content.
Okay, thank you. Great idea.
Hydran?
I very much like your intro, the story.
Thank you.
Really great thing, and I would like to know where that was later on.
Where it was?
Yeah. And you said that using your app would put people in a psychedelic state, like you were on that mat. And I just wanted to know, but I think that question already got answered, not got asked, but I'm not sure whether it got answered as well. So do you have any research foundation so far where you can say, okay, it's probable that your own research will prove that state to be reached, the psychedelic stage?
Is there any, what was your question?
The question was, is there any research already there that you can build on?
Yes, there is actually some research that was done with one of my competitors who actually they have a VR meditation experience, and they actually also ran a pilot study and published those results, which is really similar to our concept. So that is some research that we can kind of build off on. But there is also a lot of research on meditation and the benefits of that. And there's one that also compares the difference between psychedelics when you're taking psilocybin mushrooms and a meditation experience.
Yeah, which would, for me, if I would invest or thinking about investing, I would want to see more concrete research on that. So because obviously meditation works, it's around for hundreds of years. So, but your specific solution, the advantages of your specific solution should be somehow proven, either by references from your users that you had on the retreats or on your events, or through research that can be combined. I don't know whether, research on meditation compared to research in VR sessions, for example, you could perhaps use gaming research, because this is probably the same for, if I look at my son playing computer games, he's in a kind of psychedelic state somehow.
It's true.
You need to find some ways to get some kind of proof, because otherwise I would think it's might become quite difficult to get funding.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nadeya. Great. All right. So Next up, we have our third startup pitching. We have Isabelle, who will be pitching The Blood. So please welcome our dear Isabelle to the stage.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Isabelle. I'm the founder of The Blood, and I used to be a professional swimming athlete. And as an athlete, I learned at a very young age that the foundation of my success, my health, and also of my performance is my body. And that's the reason why I was taking the pill for so many years. And when I just stopped doing sports and stopped taking the pill, I was dealing with so many struggles related to my cycle. I was dealing with heavy period bleeding, with PMS, with headaches, also with hair loss and depression. And in this phase of my time, no doctor could really tell me why do I feel how I feel. And this fact is still related to the gender data gap. We do know a lot about the male body, but not about the female body. Only since the 90s, I was born in 1995, it is required that women have to be part in medical or clinical researches. 6 out of 10 women feel the same that I had to feel when I stopped taking the pill, and maybe someone here in the room can relate to that. And of course, there are tracking apps out there that are tracking our menstruation, but they don't give data or knowledge back. And now I have a really good news for you. The menstruation, which is pretty annoying for everyone because no one really likes to talk about it, is delivering us a smart solution. A lot of people don't know that menstrual blood can be analyzed and is delivering insights about the female body. And we at The Blood are analyzing menstrual blood to give data back to people. So how do we do that? We have a combination of software and hardware. So first we have a smart device which is tracking the menstrual blood currently at home. And right away we are sending via Bluetooth a report to our software. And within our software you can learn about yourself. You can learn how your body works and maybe why you're feeling tired or emotionally exhausted. And because we are on a medical way, we were asking in our study women what kind of parameters would be interesting. And of course, hormones, which are close to our cycle, or vitamins, are pretty important for our people and customers and for us. And that's why we are working with a specific and chosen scientific advisory board. And I'm very proud to say, maybe someone knows her, that Professor Dr. Sylvia Maxner, who's like the head of in the female health area at Charité, is in our scientific advisory board. And of course, we have like a community behind us, and we talk to women, and they're dealing with the same struggles that I had to deal after I was taking the pill. So they are dealing with pain, with cramps, and they don't have a diagnosis. So they don't know what's really is going on. And I always have to claim out that menstruation is not a women's problem. It matters for half of the population. So that's why we have a huge market out there. So right now we are only looking at Germany, and we are looking to a specific group, which is up to 16 or 36 in the age, and to innovators and early adopters. But we still have like a huge potential, up to 40 million euros only in Germany. And our business model has 2 revenue streams. So firstly, we are selling our hardware. And secondly, for people who want to get more insights about their body, they can get our special membership to get more knowledge about themselves. So you're asking maybe yourself, what's out there? Are any other competitors there? And I have to say, like always, the United States are straightforward. So there are 2 startups who are already analyzing menstrual blood, but we want to be the first in the European Union or even in Germany. So we also compare ourselves with the menstruation to sleep, right? Everybody knows if you have a really good night and probably good sleep, you have afterwards a really good day. And the same is with menstruation. So if you have a real good menstruating day and you don't have pain, probably you're in a really good state of mind. And behind my back, I have an amazing team. I have my co-founder, Miriam Santa, and also my tech partner, Dr. Jörg Albuschis, who already invented the technology to analyze fluids, but it wasn't interesting for menstruation. So right now we have an exclusive license to use our technology and to just analyze menstrual blood, and we have a big community. We have 2,000 women who are super interested to test their menstrual blood, and I'm pretty sure we will grow in the next year immensely. So right now we are doing our MVP. We are producing a test kit to send to you at home, and you can collect your menstrual blood and send it right away to our laboratory. And afterwards, we're doing a feasibility study with our sensor technology. And then next summer, we're doing a pre-seed round, which will be pretty big. And afterwards, women are planning pretty conservative. We have a product development, which is kind of long, but we are very positive that we will go through this very quickly. So if you want to join us, if you want to close the gender data gap with us and make the future a little bit more female, please come to me, join us, go on our website and join our waiting list.
Amazing. Thank you, Isabelle. Hydrin, would you like to have the first question?
If I may.
Yes.
Great pitch also. Thank you for that. I'm just not sure whether I understood it right. If I want to buy your hardware, is it 165?
So you firstly buy our mini lab. It's up to 150 euros, and you can use it for every menstruation. So it stays for years.
So this was this little pen, and what does it really analyze? So the hormone levels and also vitamins and minerals?
Yeah, so we're looking forward to analyze hormones like progesterone or estrogen, and also vitamin D, and specifically also on infection values. But we have to test in our feasibility study which parameters are easy to track and which are difficult to track.
Okay, so what I just paid 430 euros for at my doctor's will then be 165 or 150, whatever, in that range.
Correctly. So we don't do diagnostic at home, but we give insights, and you could have a better talk to your doctor and say okay, I already had these tests, so I could stick to my hormones or to different parameters.
Okay, what does it mean you don't do diagnostics? So I can see when I do the test, when I test my blood, I can see the results. So the levels of my different hormones.
Yes. So, but diagnostic means we're saying these kind of parameters are kind of, let's say, not in the very good area, and then we would say probably you have a disease. We don't do that. Mm-hmm. We just give awareness and say, hey, you should look for a specialist, or it's not really in the norm, or
Okay. And will it be covered by health insurance, the cost, or are you already applying for that?
That's a really good question. So we are planning to be a medical device, and we have to say we don't plan that we won't be covered by insurance, because some doctors or the insurance system is not really interested always in testing at home. But there could be a vision for up to some years, 3 years, 4 years.
Do you know whether your American competitors are in the catalog in the CMS?
No, they don't.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I had a question. Oh, first of all, fantastic pitch. I had a question around the license. So you said you have an exclusive license, but what happens if you're no longer granted that exclusive license, and who owns that license?
So in our company, we have the license or the right to use the sensor technology, and it's also a patent on it. And if we cannot use it, then we could still find another sensor technology or anything. But right now, to have the license is...
So you own the patent application on the license technology?
Yeah,
the company
our
does.
Technical partner already invented the sensor technology and has the patent, and we have the right to just use it for menstrual blood.
Okay.
Exclusively?
Yes.
Okay. So my question was, okay, so we do the test at home, and it has these the parameters which it kind of informs you, right? It doesn't really tell you. If to get a diagnostic, you need to go to the doctor, and if something's serious, so you get this return, right? So you do the test and you get the response. How many people do you expect to continue on in a subscription after they've had the initial test done? So I pay the 150, do the test, I get the answer. What's your expectation of how many people would then proceed into a subscription model?
Yeah, it kind of depends what you're dealing with. So for example, iron, which is always low when you're menstruating, you need to track it up to 4 to 6 months. So it's in your interest to do it at least for menstruation. And for example, I'm suffering from endometriosis, and if I would do these tests all the time when I'm menstruating, I would check, or I had checked years before that something is not really normal. and I would look for a specialist doctor. So I would save time, like also if I just do it like 4 times a year.
Okay, and that one test, 165, you can reuse.
Correctly.
Okay. Cool, thank you.
Time for one last question. Yeah.
Have you thought about working with fertility clinics specifically, because you've got a target market there who wants to know very much what's happening to their menstruation?
Yeah, that's a really good point. One fertility consultancy came to us and was so surprised by this idea, and also the community behind the fertility consultancy was interested in testing the menstrual blood. So that's a very special target group, because these women are kind of desperate or have a hard journey always or already afterwards, and so we would also cover them, but our focus firstly is like people who are suffering from PMS or PCO or
Amazing. Thank you so much, Isabelle. Perfect. Cool. So next up, we have our 4th founder pitching. We have Christina, who's pitching not less, but better. Welcome, Christina, to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Christina, the co-founder of Not Less But Better, and I revolutionize the way we use our smartphones by combining psychology and AI, so we can all be online in a healthy way. No. This might seem familiar to you. The smartphone has gained access into pretty much every area of our life. It's the first thing we look at in the morning and the last thing we look at before going to bed. And if nothing changes about the way we use our smartphones right now, we will spend 17 years of our life on our screens. And this is a lot more time and attention than millions of people feel comfortable with. That's why they're trying to change that. But the problem is that 200 million people still struggle with the existing solutions, being mainly about tracking or isolating people from their devices. A mental health crisis is inevitable if we don't find a simple and effective solution against smartphone addiction. And this is why we built Not Less But Better. Not Less But Better is the first scientifically validated app against smartphone addiction. Our users learn to identify their unhealthy habits in just 5 minutes a day and replace them with good, healthy habits. And we were able to prove that this training actually works. We ran a randomized controlled trial and just published our paper 3 weeks ago. After 3 weeks of using the app, smartphone addiction gets down by 42%. That means less craving for your phone and less feeling of losing control when you're on it. Additionally, screen time went down by 20% and psychological well-being went up. So people felt overall healthier and more satisfied with their life after using Not Less But Better. But this is only the beginning. We're now bringing together our psychological, scientifically validated content with AI to support our users when they get lost in their phone in real time. And this is how it's going to look like. This is Lisa. Like millions of people worldwide, Lisa has the habit to check her phone last thing before going to bed. And without noticing, she would lose herself in scrolling and would go to bed way later than initially planned, waking up the next morning feeling tired and exhausted. But with our app, this does not happen anymore. We're able to detect in real time when Lisa is getting lost in her phone and send her a gentle reminder and a meaningful psychological intervention to help her put her phone away in the evening, going to bed the time planned and waking up the next morning feeling fresh and energized. And with this, we offer a very practical solution to a market that is huge. We estimate the screen time management market to over 18 billion. It's highly underserved, and there's no global go-to player yet, so we see a huge opportunity to become the category leader here. If we zoom out a little bit, we use psychology and combine it with AI to help people take healthy decisions. And if we crack this code for screen time addiction, we can actually expand this approach to all challenges in the huge behavioral health market. Combining psychology and AI gives us a strong edge against our competition. We are bringing the right kind of long-term, habit-building psychological content into the right critical situation, detected by our AI. We're still in beta, but see strong engagement and huge inbound interest. We already generated 8.6 thousand ARR with our 250 paying customers, which we all generated organically until now. We monetize through a subscription model for consumers and enterprises. We launched our beta in March with a freemium model and are going to roll out B2B2C partnerships next year. We got contacted by the biggest German health insurance and a big media reseller because they want to partner with us as they care as well about their customers being online in a healthy way. In 2023, we'll also launch our B2B seat-based offer. In our diverse team, we bring all the skills we need to serve millions of users. Mario started programming when he was 15 and worked for Calm in the past. Selçuk is a second-time founder and already bootstrapped an e-commerce brand to $500,000 of revenue. And me, being the psychologist and the design thinker in the team, make sure we build the most powerful psychological intervention. We're supported by 7 amazing team members and advisors, and currently raised our pre-seed round. We're actually oversubscribed right now and super proud to have the ex-operators of N26, Blinkist, and MySugar on board. And if you want to grab one of the few last spots in our pre-seed rounds, be quick and come talk to me tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christina. So let's walk over here. So who would like to, Georgie, would you like to ask the first question for Christina?
Absolutely. Hi, Christina. Fabulous pitch and really clear, succinct, very emotive. Loved the use of video and loved the call to action at the end. My question is, I think your product is fantastic, right? And it's definitely point in time when you have the opportunity to be a category leader. But what's the risk that an operating system is going to implement something quickly and then all of a sudden every phone has probably not something as good, but maybe something 60% as good, and all of a sudden the value that you're giving to the consumer might change? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a really good point and something we think about a lot. Actually, we are right now in a developer program by Apple. So they came to us and they featured us a lot already in the past because they kind of have an interest to help people use their phone in a more healthy way, but they cannot really do it themselves because of their business model.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. You might know all the screen time features in your phone. So they're doing first things, but for example, there's no way to see in your phone what's your total screen time all year.
No.
Or they have data from me since 5 years, but they don't feed it back to me. So they're doing little things, but they just in the logic how their company is working and their incentives, they cannot fully do this. So we see Apple as a great partner on our mission. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Heidrun?
Yeah, great pitch. I love that you have a call to action as the first one
I know.
today. Thank you. And I think one of the key things in my opinion is that you find the right intervention. So if I imagine myself lying in that bed, which happens sometimes, and scrolling mindlessly, I'm meditating, I do yoga and so on. So I would love to get this intervention, but I would like to get the right one. Because if I get the wrong one, then I'm annoyed. So how do you find out which intervention to send me?
Absolutely. So the whole AI is not only on the detection side, but also on the intervention side. And we build an adaptive intervention, which means we understand what you value, what you want to do instead of scrolling, and then make sure we give you a meaningful psychological alternative that fits the situation, because we know what time it is. We can detect by the way you hold your phone if you're lying in bed right now or if you're still sitting. So we're trying to be really smart here and make sure we give you something that actually fits your situation, because nothing is worse than a bad intervention. I'm 100% with you.
And do you gather intelligence to what kind of meditation you would send me by analyzing my social media habits, or how would you find out what I would like to, if I want to, listen to Andy or to Sally or whoever does the meditation with me?
That's a really good point. So we're not able to see what exactly you're doing on your phone. I mean, we can see your usage patterns, and
that's a good thing.
We see when it becomes unhealthy.
Great.
But I cannot see what content you're actually looking like, just if you're still interacting or if you're just mindlessly scrolling. But of course, we can learn within our own platform, because I can see which meditations you listen to until the end, which ones you maybe start, and which ones, of course, we can also see how your usage changes. So when I see that this one meditation helped you to lose yourself less in mindless scrolling the week afterwards, this is what I'm going to give you more of.
Okay. And
with the direct feedback.
Would it be a possibility, or I don't know, just a weird idea of mine, to just have a little questionnaire once you're on board someone to, would you rather listen to a male voice or female voice and so on?
It's such an interesting point you touch upon. We spend a lot of time thinking about this, and our most crazy idea is to have a personalized AI coach where you can define the characteristics, and you can maybe say it's like a celebrity. You might love to have Jay Shetty as your coach, or someone who's...
I would always go for George Clooney.
George Clooney, and this is all possible. I mean, we can give this AI a character. We can make them talk like someone you really like, and we definitely think about having different characters in here, because some people really want this more authoritative things. Others are gonna say, this is the way my mother always talked to me. This is not how it works for me. I want a more gentle and subtle approach. So this is definitely gonna be key.
Super cool.
Amazing. And one last question, Alina?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Fantastic pitch. My question was, from the freemium users, how many moved on to a paying subscription?
Yes. I cannot tell you the number by heart. I mean, you can see we had 13,000 downloads and 256 paying subscribers, so I cannot do the math right now in my head. But what is actually interesting, we see 90% people going for the yearly plan. This is maybe an interesting observation we had, because we feel this is something you commit to, and you're like, okay, I do not only want to do it for a month, I want to commit and do this at least for a year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Christina.
Thank you.
Cool. We are halfway through the pitches we have today, and our next person pitching has a little bit more of an introduction, because they are joining us from far, far away, and not that far, Hamburg. So we have, yes, exactly. This stealth mode is combining not only mentees and mentors from Berlin, but also from Hamburg. And Britta has traveled here to be with us today. So Britta is pitching Vulvani, and everyone, round of applause. Yep.
When was the last time that you talked about period pain, infertility, or menopause? I do it all day long, because at Vulvani, we address the topics that others prefer to keep quiet about. Vulvani is the first digital education marketplace around menstruation, cycle health, and sexuality. Hi, I'm Britta, and I'm the co-founder of Vulvani. If you've ever wanted to have children, you probably know this challenge way too well. From an early age on, a fear is installed in us to never get pregnant by accident. People are not properly educated about their own body, and topics like fertility or the menstrual cycle are left behind. But why is this? It's a complex combination of social taboos, lack of research, and education gaps. 60% of girls say they have a negative attitude towards their own period, and it takes up to 10 years for reproductive diseases like endometriosis to be diagnosed. The extent to which people suffer range from shame, avoidable health problems, or even exclusion from public life. We want to make the menstrual cycle part of the solution, not the problem. Vulvani is the first digital education marketplace around menstruation, sexuality, and cycle health, because we want you to feel good in your body, and along the way, we're breaking taboos. If we can find online courses about programming or design, we want to learn about the female body as well. At Vulvani, we're closing knowledge gaps about the female body through interactive online courses. And they're designed for different learning formats. Everything from videos, workbooks, group forums, or meditation is covered. Our first step is to create awareness through high-quality free content like our online magazine or the world's first free stock photo gallery exclusively for menstruation. And then the next step is to convert the active users into paying customers, because we are offering the opportunity to deepen the personal knowledge about your own body. If you have a uterus, we will be guiding you from your first period through contraception and fertility up to menopause. Vulvani reaches about 51% of the population. In the beginning, we're targeting Generation Y and Z because they're very health and body conscious. In the next step, we'll also be incorporating online courses for companies that have an inclusive corporate culture and empower their employees through the well-being. Our business model is based on sales of online courses, but we're not doing it alone. We are offering self-created Vulvani originals, co-created online courses through collaborations, and online courses by international experts. The last step, will boost Vulvani to the first of its kind marketplace. There's no global education marketplace out there that focuses on cycle health. Platforms like Udemy have a wide range of online courses about digital skills, but very limited on body-related topics. Content-wise, they're smaller digital course offerings that are often only run by individuals and are not scalable and very expensive. However, we don't think education should be a privilege. We're connecting to young markets with very high growth potential. Femtech focuses on linking technology and health for women and has a potential of $50 billion by 2025. The e-learning market is enjoying an ever-increasing popularity and forecasts see a 12% growth rate in the next years. We founded Vulvani in April, and we've been focusing on building our brand, our community, and the MVP. The first 5 online courses are live, both in English and in German, with over 150 active users. We also regularly featured in the media, are receiving mentoring through accelerator programs, and are financially supported by InnoFounder. So who's behind Vulvani? With our different expertise, we complement each other perfectly. With Jamin's expertise as a founder and tech enthusiast, paired with me as a period expert and passionate teacher, we have accomplished a lot in the first year. We're super motivated to make our vision a reality, and that's why we're fundraising our first finance round of $500,000 next year, to make our vision and dream of the Vulvani marketplace a reality. So let's revolutionize the education of reproductive health together. We're looking for a strong network and our first investors. If you're ready to join us, we can talk afterwards. Do you give it to you? Thank you.
I can take this, and we can walk over here, and we can get some questions from our jury. Who would like to kick us off?
Yeah, thanks for the great pitch. I saw partners on one of your slides, which you didn't talk about. For example, Barma and Moya. So Barma I can understand, but Moya, what are you doing with them?
They would be like an example to incorporate the online courses for their employers as a benefit. So instead of just other benefits to give to employers, they would educate their employees about menstruation, fertility, or HR for menopause, for example.
Okay, thank you.
So you are a partner with them? They're using that as a benefit?
Not yet, because we haven't launched the online courses for the companies yet, but we have reached out to different companies and they've written us a letter of intent saying that once it's ready, then we can approach them again, and we're in close contact with the HR manager.
Okay, and because that was my question, like where are you seeing the demand come from?
Depends. Right now we're focused on B2C, so on the individuals, and then we've reached out to different companies, and it's mostly younger companies, startups that have an inclusive corporate culture that are open to incorporating on our online courses as well, next to burnout or stress reduction, for example.
Okay, thanks.
My question is, what do you plan to do with your 500K raise, and what key milestones will you hit by the time you've used that money up?
Yeah, for now we're bootstrapped and have the equity-free money, and then in the next year we want to launch the marketplace. So we would need money to launch the marketplace, bring on all the different external, international experts and creators. And then the second step, where we also need the money for, is really develop all the online courses for the companies, so that once we reach out to them again, we can offer them the great benefits.
Hi, Jen.
If you're talking about a marketplace and in combination with monetization, what exactly is the marketplace doing?
The marketplace is bringing together all the online courses, experts, and online creators together. So right now there are a lot of online courses about women's health topics, but they're all by individuals. And if you're looking for something, you probably won't find it. So we bring them all together. So it's kind of like the Udemy or a one-stop shop for everything you need about the female body.
Okay, would I, for example, also find tech, for example, from the blood on your marketplace, which would be, I think, monetization-wise, a smart idea. Not only to have the courses to inform, but also to sell the solution and get a share of their sales.
Yeah, we have started with a personalized curated affiliate shop on the website already, where we incorporate the topic or the products that are fitting to our topics for the different online courses. So yes, like including Isabelle with the blood next year.
You should put that in your
presentation.
In your pitch. Yeah, that needs to go in your pitch.
The affiliate shop?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, I took it out last night because I had to cut some.
Don't take that out.
No.
Don't ever take revenue streams out of your pitch, because my biggest question with you is, does the monetization model work? Because it's just a content play at this point.
Exactly.
I think here had it at the bottom, but I didn't say it. So next time I'll really put a priority on it.
If you want to raise like 500K, which is not a little bit for your first.
You told us to be bold, so
yeah, it's right. No, but if you are bold, you need to undermine that with, monetization paths that are huge. So, by selling online courses, it doesn't make my heart beat faster. But if you say you can, you just onboard other products that you don't produce yourself, so you can scale easily because you just sell what other people are producing and you take a share of it, which is what every investor loves.
Yeah.
If you sell a lot of that.
That's why we do the marketplace, where we bring
that's
in
why it
other
should be in your
creators.
pitch big.
Okay.
And just some feedback. I think the concept of a marketplace, it's the right technical term, but I think you need to pitch it as you're the one-stop shop for female health. Okay. Right? Because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to create a home where people can go, because otherwise they can't find stuff. And then they can find everything, right? And that is a much bigger scale than a marketplace.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for your feedback.
Amazing. Thank you, Britta. Great. Great. That was great. We also got some actionable advice for everyone that's listening online for their pitches. Cool. So next up, we have Francesca joining us, and she'll be pitching My Top Career. So please welcome Francesca to the stage.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Francesca, and I'm here today because in the small town where I grew up, opportunities and dreams were set consistently below my goals. Working hard gets you so far. The game changer for me was moving to Berlin, where I met extraordinary people that helped me understand that entrepreneurship was my career path and mentored me on how to become an entrepreneur. Through this experience, I realized the vital importance of a network for your career success, but I also realized that there's a huge network gap, and that an equal network starts very early, as they're highly dependent on where you come from, the university you go to, and on the first experiences that you get on your CV. And the problem is that access to the right network can give you up to 12 times more access to the right career opportunities. And this is especially true if we think that 80% of jobs are currently not even listed publicly. However, referral-based recruiting isn't only a problem for talents, but also for companies, because those companies who don't really have a big name can only rely on their networks to attract and hire talents. And so they have access to a limited talent pool. To bridge this gap, I co-founded My Top Career, that is a platform that connects students and companies through mentorship programs so that the parties can come together to exchange career information, explore the cultural fit, and also have a tangible impact on the society. In fact, we're not only giving companies the possibility to boost their employer branding and attract the right talents, but also through mentorship, they help reducing the network gap in their communities, and therefore, they help contributing to the 10th SDG, reducing inequalities. So far, we already had our first pilot customers, and they confirmed that through My Top Career, they could meet great talents, that they could establish a relationship with them, that they could learn what they are looking for in a potential employer, and also, of course, that they contributed and helped them with career guidance. Our business model is a hybrid model, as we have both digital and physical mentorship packages, and the differences between the two are mainly in the amount of students that we connect with the companies, and also in how much My Top Career helps the company crafting this mentorship program. Our target group are medium-sized and large-sized companies in Europe who are engaging in CSR activities, spend on employer branding, and of course recruit at least 20 young talents per year. And this brings us, if we consider the spending on employer branding, this brings us to a 7.6 billion market in Europe. And however, we're actually going to start with Germany, where we aim at getting a 10% market share. Right now is a great moment to invest in mentorship-driven recruitment because we can see that there's a huge traction from the market. So recently, ADP List, which is a one-on-one mentorship platform based in Singapore, has raised 1.3 million from Sequoia, and Quest, that is the clubhouse of career advice, has recently been backed by Y Combinator. Differently from our competitors, we help companies with matchmaking with vetted talents. A matchmaking that is currently happening mainly manually, but we want to automate in the future. And we also give companies the possibility to access to diverse talents from very different universities and backgrounds. Moreover, as I said, just by the mentorship and not even the recruiting, they have an impact on the local communities, and therefore they contribute to the 10th SDG. And in our two-sided model, we can also give them the chance to have both digital and analog mentorship programs. As for the team, as you heard already, I'm Francesca. I'm the CEO of My Top Career. I have a background in innovation management, and I also organize the group mentorship program for Adidas, my former employer. Then we have Marcelo, which is our CTO and software engineer, and Nico Gramens, that is the CEO of Factory Berlin, and is our strategic advisor and mentor. So far, we focus more on validating the idea and get our first pilot customers, and in the upcoming months, we want to expand to the rest of Berlin and then to the rest of Germany. But to do so, we're looking for investors, we're looking for an expert in marketing, and also for a machine learning engineer. So if you're one of these people and you want to help us democratizing the access to career success and give equal talent, equal opportunities, feel free to contact us at info@mytopcareer.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Francesca. Any questions from our jury? Who would like to kick us off? Alina.
Thank you so much for your presentation. My question was around your monetization strategy. So you charge a fee to B2B organizations. Are you also planning to take a cut if you facilitate a hire?
No, we so far, at least, we want to just position ourselves as the one who bring them in contact, and we actually, as I also saw with our first pilot customer, one of the sales drivers is actually the sustainability impact. So far we're focusing on this. We can't really promise actually the hire, because what we say is also, I mean, the students come in and they don't really know what they want to do with their life, basically. So through this mentorship program, they actually understand it. And then they most likely are going to apply in the future. But we're talking about usually students who are still studying. They maybe are going to look for an internship in 6 months, 1 year. So that's a little bit our positioning.
Okay.
I might have missed this because there was a lot of content to read, and it went quite quickly. I would have loved to go back through some of the things, but what's your performance so far? Like, how is it working? What kind of retention do you have? Have you had any hires? Is there an ENPS uplift for the companies that are doing the mentoring? Those kind of things.
So far we are actually very early stage, and we have actually pivoted to this version only last summer. So we're very beginning of this journey, but we already have some partnerships, some official and some not really, with universities here in Berlin that we're going to close also at the beginning of Q1. And this is for the students, but for the students so far it's actually been fairly easily to get them. As for the company, yes, we also have an NPS. So at the end of the mentorship, the students have to fill in a questionnaire where they answer all the questions that the company sends us. All questions around, for instance, if this, of course, mentorship helped you, if you are more likely to apply to this company, what would you like to know? What are the career they interested you? So at the end of the day, the companies, not only they have the mentorship and most likely also they're going to have the hire in the future, they also have this data to boost their employer branding.
Okay, so that's the benefit, right? Let's take all the good other stuff aside. It's employer branding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Concerning scaling, you mentioned that at the moment, obviously, the matchmaking is still made manually. So how do you plan to digitize that? And what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so there are two things. So the first one is a little bit more around filtering. So there are some requirements that the companies have. So for instance, in real estate, what we see already, because this is our first pilot customer, we're already discussing with the second, they want German speakers. And obviously it's completely fair, of course, because they're focused in Germany. Whereas other companies don't want this. Then maybe they need other requirements, but this is more around filtering, which is quite easy to implement. What we want to achieve in the future, we want to make sure, because the problem is that students don't really know what they want to do, but maybe they know what type of impact they want to have, or at least they know in which type of environment they would want to be. So we ask, when the students get selected, we ask them, to fill in this answer, to give us this answer, and then what we want to achieve through machine learning, we want to match this answer to the right company for them, so that you can go on this platform, and even if you have no idea what you want to do for your life, we're going to tell you, okay, maybe you're a good fit for real estate, maybe you're a good fit for pharma, and for this particular company.
And do you plan to implement something that helps students find out what they want? Because I think this is one of the biggest problems. So I think that's why at Stanford 2 professors developed Designing Your Life. So do you think about implementing something like that in order to help them find out what they want?
Yeah, so what we have when they apply to My Top Career, they have to get selected, and then if they are selected, then they get matched to a company, our recommendation. Then, of course, if they want, they can just browse throughout all of the programs and then decide to join another program. But we do have this recommendation in place.
Thank you so much. That's all the time we have. Thank you, Francesca. Cool. So next up, we have Natalia, who's going to be pitching AquaVision. Hello, Natalia. Welcome to the stage. We'll just give her 1 second so she can plug in her laptop. Very exciting.
So as UN Secretary General Kofi Annan once said, without good data, you're flying blind. You can't see it, you can't solve it. Globally, over 3 billion people are at health risk due to scarce data on water quality. Water contamination is still a topic we know very little about, especially when it comes to microplastics pollution. So microplastics, small plastic particles almost invisible to the human eye. The consequences of microplastics to the marine environment and to human are still not fully understood. But what researchers are especially worried about is the long-term accumulation. So every day, 8 million pieces of plastic waste ends up into our water. And this number is projected to double by 2040. So how we can really actually fight something that we cannot effectively measure? So now the detection and analysis of microplastics takes many hours and also high manual effort. The measurement is sample-based, not standardized. It requires complex and costly equipment. And as the European Commission reports, the outcomes are not actionable and they are very difficult to compare globally. So what AquaVision would like to introduce is standardized, scalable, automated microplastics detection and measurement. We would like to start with software platform. So the software that will basically eliminate the dependency on the manual process. We would like to use machine learning and computer vision to be able to provide reliable information on size, type, and quantity of microplastics. Non-specific laboratory equipment would be needed, and AquaVision is a software as a service with a freemium model and currently estimated subscription at 10,000 euros. So, our target customers. We have here research institutes and laboratories. We have wastewater treatment plants and water management facilities. And of course, industry that are to be obliged very soon to report on microplastics due to the upcoming regulations. So, AquaVision idea was born at CERN in 2019 during the CERN Entrepreneurship Student Program. I decided to continue working on the idea, first part-time, now full-time. And now with the support of Stealth Mode, my advisors, and small project team, we are kicking off technology validation and gathering first data on microplastics. So, what's our path to succeed? So first, finding technical co-founder. So I'm already in the process there, having conversations, having prospects. Next, partnership with citizen science project that would enable us to gather first data on the imaging. And the end goal actually would be to have hardware developed that would actually eliminate the sample-based element of the microplastics analysis. So, for this, we need your help. We are looking for an investment for next 18 months for developing the prototype, for onboarding 2 co-founders, and setting up contracts with 2 institutions. So, that's the story. Now I'll be very happy to answer any questions and find out if this is something you would be interested in investing in. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Natalia. Who would like to ask the first question?
Yeah, I will. Hi, it's great to see a science-backed product in Stealth Mode, which I think is fantastic. Really interesting about the upcoming regulations. What kind of approval would you need to be able to comply with those regulations, and is that something that you've looked at?
Yes, definitely. We looked at it. It's a super important aspect for us. So first, as you see, basically, the microplastics regulation were mostly focused on reduction, so mostly eliminating microbits from cosmetics and so on. And now they are, EU especially and US are introducing first plans for regulations in terms of reporting and analysis. And this is exactly where we want to come in, be ready, and provide that kind of solution.
Okay, so it's also about providing the ability to report on your microplastics.
Exactly.
And is that a separate stream to the testing capability?
Testing capability?
So what, the bit maybe I don't get is that, are you actually able to help them test that there's microplastics in the water or not?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
So we'll basically...
So it's test and report.
Yes, test and report. There will be the plan is to have insightful dashboard with all of the information. But of course, in terms of sampling and in terms of analysis, we'll provide companies detailed instructions how to actually follow our process.
Okay, thanks.
Heidrun?
So what I'm not really sure whether I understood it right. There was a lot of what we would like to in your pitch. So how far along are you concerning tech?
Yeah, so we are very early stage. We kind of pivoted from the hardware part that was a little bit challenging from us at the beginning, and now we are moving as a first of the software. So we are at the technology validation part. So we are basically starting off.
Okay, so there is not yet a technology, neither hard nor software.
No.
Okay.
So our basically idea is also based on the research. So there are like papers coming up. So it's verified that it's possible, and we want to deliver that kind of part.
Alina?
You should reach out to Lubo Plan A.
Well, in fact, her mentor, actually.
Okay,
so
well matched. Well matched.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alina, do you have a question?
Yeah. Who else is doing this besides you guys? Who are the competitors in this space that you're worried about?
Yeah. So this is very early stage, actually. So there are 2 startups that were created last year and this year that are doing something similar, but they are on the analysis of the ATRR and Raman spectroscopy. So they are actually not doing the very simplified process of the image taking and then analysis.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I recommend for your first round, instead of giving up equity, to look at grant funding, because there's so much EU funding available for projects like this. So I recommend checking out Horizon 2020 or local Berlin Senate.
Exactly. We are in the process of checking that out now. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Natalia. All right. So we are down to our very final pitch of the evening. I'm going to talk a little bit while she sets up, since she also has a laptop. So thank you all so much for joining us online. I know it could be boring to sit behind a screen, so we appreciate you sticking it out with us. Pitches have been fantastic today, and we wish you were here. We look forward to welcoming you in person very soon. It's super exciting to see all of the female talent that we've had today, and we still have one founder coming up. So, exactly. What are you saying? Yeah. With no further ado, the amazing Diana, another Hamburg-based mentee who will be pitching ACTitude very, very soon. Yes, I'll now do a short song. All right, Diana, take it away.
The microphone, yeah, here we go. Because I can't do it with the microphone, without the microphone, and actually, I can't. There are so many things that I feel like I can't do. For example, 1 year ago, my ex-girlfriend dumped me just after asking me whether I wanted to start a family with her. And I'm not telling a lie, it's just last weekend that she said to me, look, I've now married this other woman. And I really hated that, and it was devastating. So I thought, I can't pull myself together. Even I, as a psychologist, thought I can't anymore. But the great thing is, I was not alone. And you are not alone out there and over here, because we all have something all the time. We've just heard someone lost their father. We heard someone is suffering from endometriosis. There are so many things. Actually, 15 million people in Germany alone suffer from emotional burden every year. And the worst is that 132 billion per year are spent on this burden, and especially in the workforce. Because in the workforce, we always go like, I can't do it anymore. Do you know what you gotta do? You gotta try harder. But what's happening is you're trapped. So the harder you try, the worse it gets. Sometimes you don't realize, so how am I gonna get out of this? As a psychologist, I tell you, you've got to be really easy and smooth, and you sometimes got to let go, even as a founder, let go of an idea. And eventually you come out of it. Just like I lurched out of this, we use content marketing to lurch into people's smartphones and tell them what to do when they struggle. Am I crazy is a question that people ask online, and we answer it in our podcast. Actually, Heidrun, you gave me the idea calling it normalize, but it's actually called the upward spiral, because we want to inspire people and then want to lurch them onto our website. And maybe if they like the advice from our experts in the podcast or on YouTube or on social media, they tend to buy our online course. And what we do is something that we've learned today from Christina. We look at what they love to look at and what their favorite content is. So the type of media and also the type of content, because you might go and do yoga, whereas I like to do the sports, or someone else is going to do the meditation. So we want to know what you prefer, and then we give you the content accordingly. Also, what we want to offer is 10 weeks of accompanying you. So you're not alone, and it only costs you 99 euros. 35 minutes is not this whole lecture that you know from universities, because that's very much sleepy and no one has that time, especially in busy schedules. What we do is we give you like about the length of an espresso, 1 minute, maximum 8 minutes per session, and you can fit it in any busy schedule. But how does the 99 euros come with the competition? We do have a winner here, it seems so, which is Hello Better, but Hello Better has a totally different audience. They're addressing clinical diagnosis, so clinical cases, whereas we want to address the people that struggle without a diagnosis, because people don't want those diagnoses. I have a broken heart, but I don't want to be depressed, but I'm sad. So how can I deal with sadness will be a course that we will offer soon. On the other hand, we have amateur content creators like yoga studios who are now, in times of COVID, trying to shoot themselves. So, as in shoot the footage, sorry, not shoot themselves. That was miserable. So they're shooting their own footage, and it's obviously not as creative as we do it, and they don't have the technology behind it. Why do we not go higher? Because we want to go into the prevention market, and they have specific regulations that we need to look at. So once we've got those people, which is like the certification that we're doing now up next, so health insurances will reimburse the costs. They probably come to like us and they pay for the next course, which will then be about self-fulfillment or being self-worthy. So whatever people ask for. Why did we do coping with stress? Because everybody has got stress. And everybody gives away that they got stress. So we want them to come in onto our platform. So we're now doing marketing and sales promotion, and we're looking for strategic partners. That's why we talk to health insurances. That's why I talk a lot to Christina and talk about those things that they have experienced. And in the end, we want to talk to companies. So companies are now realizing that mental health is a topic they have to deal with. And that's why we start talking to them and giving them possibilities for me doing a workshop for a day, and then they get licenses as a license model. Obviously, I'm not alone in this, and this is what got me through the last year. I know you're watching. Thank you very much for being by my side. We are a very diverse team. We bring in lots of different talents, and I also want to thank everybody here tonight, because this is what really helped me making this stealth mode and the community. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Diana. Well worth the wait, right? I didn't have to do a song, thank God. But so who would like to ask our final first question of the evening? Heidrun.
Yeah, I love your pitch. It has improved a lot. So, the first time I think I saw the actual pitch deck, because on the other times there was no pitch deck or the technology didn't work, so great. Please don't shoot yourself in the head, even if you're suffering from a heartbreak.
It woke you up though, didn't it?
Yeah, I heard that and said, okay, there was this guy called Freud. I hope this is not the cause. So, and my question would be, to be honest, I'm not so much the person for online video courses, even if I like to listen to you all the time. So if they're short, might be better. But for me, I'm always thinking about, like, will you add something on top of those online video courses, like AI? You were talking about Christina, so they are doing. So are you thinking about enhancing your services and offerings by something that investors love, like AI or whatever?
Of course we have that. So this is for phase 3. So for now, we have the first online course live, so we don't need an investor at this point in time. Obviously, we're happy to talk to business angels, but that's more a strategic partnership. Then we want to go to B2B. And thirdly, we would like to develop an app doing exactly what Christina does with all those notifications, not for reduction of social media use, but for example, Sober October, you're going to a restaurant and instead of telling you off, because there's a fine line of telling people off, we want to motivate you by showing you not the virgin colada, because that might probably be not the best drink, but give you like an advice what else you could drink. So you're supported with an advice rather than told down.
What I was thinking about just came to my mind whether I had a bigger problem like, I don't know, whatever, drinking or heartbroken or whatever. If there could be a kind of gamification where you could do something with your device and see progress. Just an idea.
Yeah, I mean, we have the regulation for the preventional course that people only can go to the next stage once they've done the first one. So even at school, you've got those stamps once you've done something good, and that actually works fairly well. So that's something we implement as well, yes.
Amazing.
Great presentation, really impressed. My question was, what sort of traction have you seen so far?
Well, the course has just launched last week. So the traction is very little, but everyone watching, there is a voucher that you can win if you participate in our social media prize lottery. So yeah, we just have the traction from the podcast. So that's out for a year. So we have about 3,000 people listening in and out. So tuning in and out. That's what we got at the moment, but no data on sales yet.
Okay, so where is this social media competition that people can go to?
That would be on Instagram. It was sent out today on LinkedIn because my team was working while I was coming to Berlin.
And that's at what, ACTitude on?
ACTitude on LinkedIn, ACTitude on Instagram, ACTitude on YouTube. We don't have the prize on YouTube at the moment. On YouTube, it's more for our tips, and we can see that people are actually searching YouTube for more exercises rather than the podcast episodes. So the educational content works in a different way.
Cool.
And any last question? No, that's it. Thank you so much, Diana, for your pitch. Thank you. Amazing. It was so exciting to have everyone pitching today and to see the completion of the program. I'd like to say one last round of applause for our incredible founders who have been through this 3-month journey with us. Thank you. You did it. Amazing. Thanks for everyone. Thanks for everyone that was part of the event tonight. Thank you so much, Miriam, Gesa, Hydrin, Alina, and Georgie. Thank you for our team on site who was supporting. This program would not be possible without all of the people who are part of it, so I'd like to thank our experts, our mentors, our investment advisors, and of course, Google for Startups and Henkel DX. Please check out Stealth Mode at factoryberlin.com/stealth-mode. We won't be having another program up until next autumn. However, as I said in the beginning, Factory Berlin and Stealth Mode, it's more than just the program. It's really the network. You can still become a member of Factory Berlin and still become part of this network. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you in person soon.